Rereading a text, highlighting it, or revising the information over and over again in hopes of memorizing it better are some of the most common learning techniques. Science shows that these are also the most damaging. Repetition makes us feel like we know, but it's actually a waste of time because it doesn't bring the desired results. A 2009 study included a questionnaire about learning techniques in high school students. The results showed that 83% of the students use rereading as part of their study techniques, and 54% of them relied on rereading as their main study method. The main reason for this choice is that students generally don't know or trust other learning methods. Make sure to like this video and let's see why this doesn't work and what to do instead. Alright, so memory is the ability of the brain to encode, store, and recall stored data when we need it. Some information is stored in the very short-term memory, and a part of this information passes on into the long-term memory data. Short-term memory allows the brain to store information for a short period of time, and the shortest type of short-term memory is working memory. For example, we use working memory to retain the phone number we want to write down in our contacts. Thinking about the brain, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and the amygdala are involved in memory formation. The hippocampus is the part of the brain where memories are stored temporarily, and from there they will be transferred into the prefrontal cortex when they pass into the long-term memory. Researchers believe that this transfer from the hippocampus to the prefrontal cortex happens during sleep, and this is the argument also in this book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I've got a video on it if you want to watch it. But apart from sleep, which can sometimes be used as a study aid, actually, memorization and learning techniques are great ways to transfer information from the short-term to the long-term memory. Another factor that influences how we learn is also our conception of intelligence. A 2014 study showed that some students view intelligence as something that can be developed, the incremental view, and others view it as something fixed or self-contained entity that cannot be influenced, which is called the entity view. You may have also heard about this under the name of the fixed mindset. Those who hold the incremental view are more focused on improving themselves and gaining new skills, while the ones with the fixed mindset or the entity view are more concerned with getting good grades in exams and aren't so much focusing on new accumulation. Because of this, they're also less likely to use effective study techniques such as the ones we're going to discuss in this video, precisely because they initially seem to be less productive. But let's see if that's actually true. Alright, so what is retrieval practice? One of the most robust findings of science over the past 100 years is that learning is much more effective if the learner is trying to actively recall the information that they have been learning through testing and self-testing of concepts. So the focus falls not on committing information to memory, but on getting it out even if it's incomplete. This book, called The Psychology of Effective Studying, shows that repeated self-testing, aka retrieval technique, of memorized material produces superior recall when compared to an equivalent period spent rereading the material. For example, a simple quiz in which you ask yourself questions about what you've just read is much more effective in helping you retain that information than just rereading the information over and over again. It's even better than reviewing the notes that you personally have made. This is one of the reasons why some people take notes in the form of questions. What's even cooler is that if you let a few hours go by and then retake the quiz, the neural connections previously formed become even stronger, and forgetting becomes a lot less likely. But this is not the only way to put the retrieval method into practice. Retrieval practice consists of several techniques, all serving the same purpose, basically long-term memorization of information or acquisition of skills. So here are some techniques that you should use in order to study effectively. The first one we've already talked about, it's repeated self-testing. Read a section of a text, put it to one side, and then try to explain the context and the content in your own words, in your head, to someone else, or in writing. Then check if you've remembered correctly and repeat as many times as necessary. It's usually good to pause between two attempts. A quick way to use retrieval is to try to recall the main ideas of a text after reading it, right after reading it, without looking at the text. If you've got someone to talk to, or you have a tendency to talk to yourself, which I certainly do, then you can explain key concepts out loud. Of course, also without looking at your notes or at the text, just what you remember from your mind, even if the information is incomplete, and don't stop to look at the notes if you don't know something. Just try to use your own words to explain what you remember. A fourth way to use retrieval is to create your own study material in the form of flashcards, guides, or summaries, and anything that requires you to process the information instead of just passively absorbing it. The effort of placing that information into a new format makes you remember it better. Another technique for those of you studying more technical things is trying to solve a problem before learning or reading about the potential solution. You'll make mistakes, but later you'll remember what you struggled with and what the solution was a lot better. So overall, retrieval learning techniques may seem at a first glance to be less productive and more time-consuming, but it has been scientifically proven that the effort you put in helps you learn better, commit the information better to memory, and use it in more versatile ways. If you're looking for a more in-depth video about retrieval technique in use, then I recommend you watch this video right here, and make sure to follow my channel for more videos like this one. Now on to the next one.